Welcome to ZooBricks. My name is Maxine and I'm trying to build the world's largest Lego zoo. Thank you so much for tuning in. And in today's video, we are going to be focusing on this area here next to the Botanical Gardens. So you'll have seen my video last week where we got to build this beautiful herringbone water, and this botanical garden is going to be living over there in this little boxed area here. So this is the remainder of the path that's in front of the otter enclosure, and this is the side of the goat enclosure. As you can see, I've built all of this in separate plates to make it easy for transport. So I'm going to try and continue with that theme as I build this next enclosure. Now, the botanical garden is one piece. It is actually 4 squares there, but that's perfectly manageable to lift on its own. I just need to be wary where I build this enclosure. It's quite a nice space here, and I think it would be perfect for the red pandas. I have got 3 of them all together, and I think they would make a really nice exhibit. Not only because the space isn't too big, but it's also not too small, but it's right next to the Asian short-clawed otters, so it's almost like a bit of zoning. Those are 2 species from a very similar part of the world. So I'm going to start out here and try and work a little shape out and see where we get to. Okay, so I've got a rough idea of where I want the red panda enclosure to be. So it's going to be butted up against this path here and against this goat path here. And I'm already having a little bit of a meltdown trying to figure out how I'm going to do it, because I want to do the fence in a different way to what I've done previously. Obviously the goat fence was very like castle-y and oldie-worldy. The otter fence was made with the wood effect bricks. And if you haven't guessed already, I'm trying to go for a bit of an oriental theme with the red. I also have mountains of red that I don't use for anything else. So I've been messing around with some kind of red, white and gold type fencing, but obviously I don't want to make it completely straight and blocky because that's no good. So trying to figure out a way that I can make it so it's a little bit flexible so we can have a bit of an unusual shape. The last thing you want is a square enclosure. And that's like my MO in life, in the real life zoo, but also in the Lego zoo. And then where this piece joins up to that one, I would love to build some sort of like covered over viewing area. You know, you always need those places when it starts getting a little bit rainy, especially in England, where you can actually stand underneath them and get a little bit of protection from the elements. So I want to try and do like an oriental kind of style, funky little roof thing here that goes between the otters and the red panda, so that those 2 exhibits are kind of linked. Now what I'm going to do, now that I've got the footprint, is I'm going to start building this ground area up in the middle. It's always nice for the enclosures to be a little bit higher up in the middle so that when you're viewing into them, you're not looking down, you're kind of looking straight ahead across at the animals. So I'll start building this up now. Okay, so I don't normally like showing the kind of messy bit where I'm messing about with all of the pieces, but I just wanted to give you a quick update on what I'm working on. So I've been trying to do a bit of an oriental one because red pandas are from China and Nepal and places like that. So there's the top of it there, which sits on top of that like that. And then I've got some fancy kind of oriental dangly things to hang from it as well. I just need to build a little bit of height on it because you can see here there's the minifigures for scale. So I think that this needs to be about there. So I'm just going to build some fancy bases for the bases of these posts, and then the idea is I'll carry this over here and show you. So basically the idea is that this is going to kind of be over the path and reach between the red pandas and the otters over there. So it's going to kind of be like there. So you're kind of like entering Asian animal section of the zoo. I've been playing around with some different types of enclosure walls, just trying to figure out how I can make it all kind of match together. So certain areas of the enclosure will be kind of a little bit more fancy, and I've kind of used the reds and the blacks and the golds. That's where I'm up to at the minute. It's obviously I've spent a lot more time doing the kind of theming around the exhibit than the actual exhibit itself so far, but all of these things come together to make a really good animal exhibit. Okay, so I've just added a little bit of a base to the bottom of this entranceway, and these guys fit into there quite nicely. So this build is a little bit different. It was built kind of upside down and right way up, and then connected in the middle by using some of these upside down and mounting some more brick on the side of that, and then building the right way up. So as you can see underneath the lid there, that is all upside down tile, and obviously the tile underneath here is upside down, but then everything from here is the right way up. Okay, so I've made a little bit of a fail. I decided to drag the Otter enclosure over here so I can work out distances between exhibits. This path is getting a little bit tight here. So here's a lesson for the future, is make sure I'm building right next to the exhibits when I'm building them. But look at this massive entrance. Oh dear. That is just ridiculously big. So I'm trying to figure out if I can use it at all. I just think it looks a bit stupid now. Spent a long time building that, but this is the joys of Lego. You start building something and then you realize that that needs to be taken apart and tried again. I don't think the width of it is bad, to be fair, because I mean, when you think about it, when you go to Disneyland or any places like that, or large zoos, they do have quite large entrances going into different themed areas. So it just looks a lot bigger than what I was kind of expecting. But what's really cool about it is if you were actually at the zoo when you were visiting it, is that you want to go through it and see what's on the other side. Whereas if it wasn't there, it's not creating that block, that mystery of what's around the corner. So I think it looks okay. I just need to mess about with it and try and get it to fit in and see what it looks like. I've removed some sections of the temporary fence and some planting around the side of the Otter enclosure to place this entranceway. And I've put it on a little bit of a wonk because I am very aware that there are some areas that are a little bit too square, especially Botanical Garden, but we won't talk about that. So I wanted to put it on a little bit of a wonky angle here. So I'll put some jumpers or something underneath there just so it can kind of hold on to something, because it is going across two base plates here. So it does need to be its own set structure. I think I just need to widen this path out a little bit. I think the view going through it is pretty cool as you look at the exhibits on either side. And I don't think it's a ridiculous size now, actually. The only thing I don't like is I think it's one brick too tall. So I think I'm gonna strip this layer out and drop the whole thing down just so I think it has a bit more of a triangular thing. At the minute it kind of goes and I'm not too sure about that. Okay, so I've just finished that. I wanted to try and get rid of a row, but it's very difficult to do. This particular row here is actually a lot thicker than the rest of the black rows, simply because that lower plate there is the plate where it flips between the wrong way and the right way up Lego. So I've got to have that thicker line there in order to be able to place kind of upright pieces. So basically place those ones instead of those ones. So to flip the Lego up round like that, you've got to have that weird layer there. It has made it a little bit thinner though, and I've tried to make the angle fit. These are a bit more prominent on their own now, which is quite cool. And I've also moved the dangly things forward a little bit just to bring them away from the structure. I've got it in position. I've filled the path out a little bit so it fills from post to post, and I've added some more jumpers there so that these minifigures can actually stand in the entrance. I think it looks pretty cool. Now, when you look at it from above, you can see that it is ever so slightly wonky with the rest of everything, which is just enough, I think. I had it a little bit more wonky earlier, but it was intruding on the path too much, and the only other way to do that is to push that back, and I didn't really want to take it out of the Otter enclosure there. So it's just putting right up to the Otter enclosure. And then this bit will help form part of the exhibit wall for the Red Panda exhibit. Everything takes so long when you're building with Lego, so I'm pretty happy with how that little kind of entrance to the Asia part of the zoo looks. I'll show you what I'm going to work on next. Back there where the other base plate will be, that will be kind of like the off-show holding facilities and like keeper access building as well. So this path here will probably be cut off to members of the public, so they can only go so far along here. So if we take that kind of out of the way and we start placing this enclosure fence like this, maybe even build it up a little bit so it kind of meets with this as a bit of an anti-climb barrier. Now, and then that can go all the way around. But this is the fancy bit that's on show to the public, so that can be nice. And then the bit that's kind of back there and up there, that can be a little bit more plain. There's no point in spending loads of money on a pretty fascia if no one's going to see it. Now, Red Panda, out of all of the species that I've worked with over the year, Red Panda are renowned for being escape artists. So the number one thing to think about when building a Red Panda exhibit is that the internal part of the fence is actually anti-climb. So they can't actually get a grip of it or climb up. Now, obviously, our Red Pandas are very unlikely to escape because they don't move. But in theory, this is how you should build a Red Panda exhibit. So that's what I'm going to kind of stick to. Unlike this goat fence, which has lots of bits and pieces that they can kind of get their little claws into, this is a nice smooth side. So I think that's what I'm going to work on for the next video. I think I've done enough for one day. I'm pretty tired out. I hope you enjoyed that update and get to see me build a little bit of something completely different today. I'm so excited to get this Red Panda exhibit made, and I will have it made for you by the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't done already, please do remember to subscribe to the ZooBricks channel and like this video, and I shall see you very soon.